We're given a brief lesson on human behavior when a narrator tells us that the rules of society have always remained constant throughout history. This narrator turns out to be a shameless critic named Mr. Yang, who has seemingly offered negative comments on an artist's latest movie, which has been set during the Ming Dynasty. The artist begs him to take back his unfavorable words, but Yang reasons that the lead character in the movie is extremely ruthless and unreasonable. He is even of the opinion that a dog would do much better as a lead character if it had traveled to the same era in which the artist's film is set. The artist argues that everyone loved his work up until Yang's criticism, but the shady businessman states that the strong will always rise and the weak will always fall. He even comments on the current state of the world and believes that modern improvement through technology is just an illusion because the social hierarchy has still maintained its roots. Now, we see Yang talking to his boss, Mr. Lee, and tells him that the rival company's subscriptions have been drastically reducing, so he can rest assured it will soon run out of business. Mr. Lee is happy to hear this because Yang is basically writing reviews on movies and other works based on how Mr. Lee wants the people to perceive them, thus manipulating public opinion through media. We definitely know how that works, especially in today's day and age. Yang has done a good job so far by writing good reviews for the clients who are paying Mr. Lee a handsome amount in exchange for the positive PR. The shady critic is given one more assignment, and he sarcastically promises to write a fair and objective review, even though we know that isn't the case. Yang even declares that he can do anything to get to the top of his industry, and there's no one who can stop him. At this very moment, a mysterious entity shows up and transports Yang to an alternate dimension because of his statements. Our hero is scared at first but slowly comes around to his senses as he gets a better understanding of what's happening. The entity proceeds to tell Yang that it has prepared an entire universe just for him to live in. The conditions of this universe are based on all the works that Yang has commented on in his past reviews, and the world he's being sent to right now is the Ming Dynasty of the 17th century. The entity reveals itself to be a time-traveling god system, and it wants to see if Yang really is superior to the characters he gleefully criticizes without mercy. This is a bit too much for Yang to take in, so he argues that the entity is overreacting to his actions. After all, it's not like a customer should become a chef simply because he didn't like the food at a restaurant. The logic is actually sound, but the god system doesn't listen to Yang and accuses him of writing lies in all his reviews, simply for financial gain. Yang is unable to defend himself, so the god system states that he has failed the verification process. This leaves it with no other choice but to erase Yang from existence. Our maligned hero figures out that the god system is just a machine with a downloaded set of protocols. With no other option at his disposal, Yang asks what would happen if he were to travel to the Ming Dynasty and live an alternative life. The god system states that he will just have to live there until his death, and then he will return to his original life, but with all the memories he's gained from his experience. Hearing this actually makes Yang excited, because he thinks he can become the cream of the crop in any world, which means he can become a king in his alternative life. The shady critic actually believes that he's going to get reincarnated as an overpowered hero in a fantasy world, so he asks the god system about the skills he's going to get. However, he is told that the god system is simply a supervisor, and not a helper. This means that it is simply here to instruct our hero, and observe him to ensure he is following the rules. Yang is a little confused, but all is revealed when the god system begins his reincarnation process. The shady critic is made to live through all his negative comments, and the god system creates his character in a way that it fulfills his past criticisms of the works he's reviewed. For example, Yang had once criticized foreign travel, so this concept will not exist in his new world. The same goes for superpowers because he had criticized them as well. The cherry on the cake, however, is when the god system also includes Yang's latest statement about a dog being able to do better as a lead character. Our hero gets an idea of what's going to happen to him, and then his reincarnation is processed. After a hectic sequence, he finds himself in the middle of a town in the Ming Dynasty, and as expected, he has been reincarnated as a dog. Yang looks on in shock and bitter amusement, after which he lets out his disappointment in the form of an angry bark. His antics catch the attention of the people passing by, and then the god system wishes him luck for his eventful new journey. But Yang realizes that he's been tricked and cheated. He curses the system for turning him into a dog, but it's not like he can do anything about it now. Since he's here, Yang needs to get himself accustomed to the ways of the 17th century, so he learns a bit about his current town, called Gusu. It is adjacent to the ocean, and a canal connects the northern part of the town to the southern part. A river also flows through from east to west, and we learn that the town is a financial hub. This is because it has a branch office of the country's first-ranked bank, called Sunrise. The narration continues to talk about all the various treasures that can be found in this town, which explains why people from all over the world come here to enjoy its riches. Now, the narration turns into something like a video game task, as it tells us that there are lots of millionaires in Gusu Town. Yang is challenged to become the wealthiest creature here, and then he is presented with his task. Basically, he has to become rich to start things off, and then he has to eventually become the richest businessman in Gusu Town. The reward for this is 300 coins, and also the chance to become human again. There is no punishment for failure, and then we can see the dog boy running into an alley in hilarious fashion. He proceeds to curse the system once again because he has no desire to live out his life as a cute pet. On top of that, he is told to become a rich businessman while still being a dog, so it doesn't make any sense to him. Yang's complaints are met with a very neutral response, as the god system tells him he has no time limit to complete the task, neither does he have to suffer any punishment for failing. However, our hero is told that dogs of his breed typically live up to 12 years, so the god system hopes that he can complete his task before dying. To add further drama, we see a bunch of stray dogs ganging up on Yang for a possible showdown. The dog boy has had enough of his misfortune and decides that he is not going to be tied down by his unfavorable situation. He strikes a deadly pose, but doesn't exactly offer a fight. Instead, Yang throws a sausage at the stray dogs and scolds them for being greedy. In a hilarious declaration, Yang tells the stray dogs that he will chalk out a plan for them and all the other good boys in town. Of course, in order to achieve this, Yang will need to be made king of the dogs, and he offers a rich, comfortable life to all his followers. Adding on to his dramatic presentation, Yang tries to bring out the shady businessman lurking inside him, and tempts the dogs to follow his path because a sausage will not bring them any long-term happiness. In a hilarious and somewhat expected turn of events, the dogs happily take the sausage and leave Yang alone in the alley. Our dog boy curses his missed opportunity and insults the dogs for being so simple. We learn that Yang has actually been here for a while, and he's been hungry most of the time. He's running out of options, so he needs to act fast, otherwise he won't be able to achieve his impossible task. Regardless, Yang openly challenges the system and says that he can still become a big shot, even if he is a dog. Meanwhile, on the eastern side of Gusu Town, a cute girl makes her appearance and is greeted by everyone with warm smiles. Her name is revealed to be Yun, and she is immediately swarmed by a bunch of merchants who want to sell their products to her. As expected, they try to offer some competitive deals, and Yun happily accepts all their offers. Now, we learn that Yun is actually a maid for the affluent Huang family, and she is very generous with the local town folk. Suddenly, Yun hears some barking, and she turns around to see where the noise is coming from. An old lady shows up and comments on how much the maid girl loves fluffy canine. Yun tries to say that she isn't so easily swayed by cute puppies, but then she looks on with dreamy eyes. It turns out that the maid girl is gleefully staring at our hero, who is also looking at her with an innocent expression. Yang goes all the way and brings out his cutest puppy dog eyes to appeal to Yun. She gets enchanted by the sweetness in front of her, and eventually picks up Yang as her new pet. Of course, this was our hero's plan all along, because he knows that stray dogs will never make it big in any world. He is well aware that he has to live in a certain kind of family if he is ever going to achieve his task, and he has chosen the Huang household as his target. Now, we see the leader of the family, Huang Wanyan, who is a wealthy businessman. Yang activates shady mode as he comes up with all kinds of plans to exploit Huang by using his cuteness factor. Yang shows off his strategic intelligence when he tells us that he knew the servants of the household would have chased him away if he tried to approach Huang by himself. However, since Yun is a naive young maid, she made the perfect accomplice to his plan. Yang is aware of the fact that she likes dogs, and is confident that she will not be able to resist his charm. Now, the maid girl happily hugs Yang to show some love, and he feels like he has made it, although he's getting suffocated by Yun's enthusiasm. However, he's in for a rather unpleasant twist as Yun takes him to the local butcher named Mr. Liang. In a hilarious revelation, the maid girl asks Mr. Liang to roast the dog boy so that she can enjoy him as a meal. The look on Yung's face says it all, as the butcher warns Yun against hunting stray dogs. She justifies herself and insults our hero by saying he was stupid enough to come next to her, which only causes Yang to panic further. Mr. Liang is satisfied with this explanation, so he decides to show off his cooking skills to the maid girl. Yang is visibly anxious as he realizes that his information on Yun was incorrect. She doesn't like dogs as such, but rather, she is a fan of dog meat. Yang isn't exactly big enough to fight someone as big as Mr. Liang, so how on earth is he going to save himself from getting cooked like a chicken? Like, share, and subscribe to find out in the next video. See you soon.